How's it going? Today we're going to be looking at the 10 most important formulas in Excel. Whether you're just starting out learning Excel or you're a business professional looking to touch up on your skills, this video is perfect for you. We cover formulas ranging from sum and count all the way to text and XLOOKUP. Without further ado, let's get into the video. Okay, formula number one is the sum function, and this basically just sums up all the numbers in a selected array. So in this example here, we have total sales and total expenses for a whole year. And if we want to sum up each of these columns, we would do the formula equals sum, close parentheses, open parentheses, and then highlight all of these and then do a close parentheses. Another way to do this, which is just much easier, is to hit all equals, sums up all that, and we can hit tab, and there we have it. If we want to do this here, we do equals total sales minus our total expenses. Drag that down, fill without formatting, and then once again, let's hit Alt equals and select enter. And we have our total net income for the entire year. Okay, now we have formula number two, which is equals count. And all this does is just count the number of numerical values in an array. So say for example here, we want to see how many sales our sales represents made throughout the year, not the total sum of sales. We would do equals count, open parentheses, and then highlight all of their sales. Hit enter, and we can see we made 15 sales throughout 2024. The next formula we have is equals average, and all this does is takes the mean of a selected array. So say we have the same example of sales data for the year 2024, and we want to know what the average sales price was. We would go here, click equals average, open parentheses, select this entire array, close parentheses, and hit equal. And our average number of sales would be $170.47. Formula number four is the if function. And the if function is the first one that gets pretty difficult and starts to deal with logical tests. So the logical test is simply just a comparison of two different values. Maybe you're trying to see if x is greater than y, x is less than y, or x is equal to y. That goes in the first comma. Second comma is in parentheses, or quotation marks, and it gives out what you would like to receive if the test is true. And the third option is also in quotation marks, and it's the output you will receive if the test turns out to be false. Okay, so let's go ahead and do the following formula. We do equals if, open parentheses, and then we have our logical test. And what we're trying to do here is see if these projects are complete or not. So we're going to go ahead and click this percent status. We're going to say if it is equal to 100%. That is our logical test, okay? So we're trying to see if the percentage completion is equal to 100%. And if it's true, if that is equal to 100%, then we'll do quotation marks and just type in complete, close quotation marks. Then we'll hit a comma, and we're on the value if false, okay? So if this is not equal to 100%, we want to write in progress. Close quotation marks, close parentheses, and hit enter. So what this is going to do is for all these projects where there's 100% completion, it'll be called complete, whereas everything else will just say in progress. Okay, let's fill this all the way down here, fill without formatting, and we can see this is exactly what happens. 100% complete, 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 etc., etc., etc. Formula number five is SUMIF, and this is somewhat similar to the if function. However, it also incorporates the initial formula we had, the sum formula. Okay, the first part of this formula is the array, and this is the array which we're searching for a match. In this case, we're going to be looking for our match in the gender column, which will make more sense in a second. Second is criteria, and this is the match you're searching for in that array. In this instance, it's either going to be females or males. We're going to be looking for all instances of males or females in here and summing up their sales. Finally, we have the sum range, which is just the area we want summed based on the criteria in the gender column. So to start off, we do the formula equals SUMIF, and then we have our range, which is the area we're looking for our match. Simply just highlight all of this, click comma, and then we want females. But if we type in females, we're not going to get anything. We need to type in F, comma, and then our sum range. So what this is basically doing is every instance of an F in here, it's going to sum its corresponding array. So females had $1,993 of sales. Let's go ahead and do the same thing for males. Let's highlight the entire range, click comma, type in M, click comma, and highlight the sum range. See, males had a grand total of $1,859. You can kind of understand just how many applications this might have in business, especially when you're working with large data sheets or trying to compile different sales graphics. Now for formula number 6, we have COUNTIF, which is similar to SUMIF in a lot of ways, but also slightly different. Instead of also having a sum range, we just have a range and criteria. So the range is the same as it is before. It's the array in which we're searching for a match, in this case, our gender. And the criteria is the match that we're searching for in the array, which in our case is male or female. So if we go over here and do equals COUNTIF, we highlight our entire range, click comma, and then female. We're going to find out how many of these sales came from females versus how many of them came from males. So we see 9 of them came from females. Now let's see how many of them came from males. If we do the formula equals COUNTIF, open parentheses, highlight the range, click comma, quotation marks M, and hit enter, we see that 10 of these sales came from men. So you can see how this, along with the SUMIF function, can be very powerful if you're trying to understand which of your employees did what and how well they did it. Formula number 7 is equals PV, or present value, which is very important for finance and accounting when you're valuing assets, liabilities, and different contracts. So the first part of it is our rate, just our interest rate. In this case, the first one is 6%. Next, we have our total number of periods. This could be years, this could be months, this could be quarters, this could be days. Next, we have our payment. In our situation here, we don't have any payments, but if there's a recurring payment, such as on a bond or a lease, you would include that in there. We have our future value, which in our case is $250,000. This is just the amount the asset or liability will be worth at a certain time in the future. And then finally, we have our type. If we hit 0, then it assumes payment at the beginning of the period, and 1 assumes payment at the end of the period. However, as we mentioned, we don't have a payment in this problem, so we won't worry about that. Also important to note is that it's typically helpful to put a negative sign at the beginning of your present value formula. Otherwise, you'll end up with a negative in the future. So if we do equals negative PV, open parentheses, select our interest rate, select our number of periods, in this case years. We don't have a payment, so we just hit another comma, and then our future value of $250,000, close our parentheses, we get a present value of $186,814. Let's fill that to the bottom, and we can see the different present values for each of these situations. Now, if we raise the present value here, or the interest rate here, we'll see the present value drop significantly. This is because discounting at a higher rate makes the present value today less than it would be than with a lower rate. Same goes to if we increase the number of years. Let's say it's 10 years instead. We see that the present value decreases much, much more. So this really helps you understand how present value and interest rates all work together, and it can be especially useful when you're pricing bonds or leases. Formula number 8 is very simple but very powerful. Let's say you have data arranged like this and you want to do a formula such as XLOOKUP or VLOOKUP, but you're not able to do it in the current format. If we want to get days on the x-axis, if we want to get the dates on the y-axis and the expenses on the x-axis, we could go ahead and do December, what do we have? December 1250 linked with rent. We could do that, but that's obviously going to take forever. What we could also do is equals transpose and just highlight the entire array, close parentheses, and hit enter. And we can see just how much time that saved us. We can now do any XLOOKUP or VLOOKUP formula we want in any way we want. and it just arranges our data in a much cleaner way. Formula number 9 is equals text, which is very useful if you want to get data in cells formatted in any specific way you want. So in text, we have two parts to it. We have the value, which in our situations are the initial dates, numbers, and then we have the format text, which shows how we want to format that data. So if we go over here and hit equals text, open parentheses, let's select our initial date, hit a comma, and then how do we want it? We want it to be just show the month. So we'll hit 4 M's, quotation marks, close parentheses, and we can see that we get the full month of January. Now, if we only did 3 M's, we would get Jan. But let's go back, hit Control Z. Let's do the same for a year. Equals text, select our data, do year, quotation marks, close parentheses, and we get 2024. Finally, let's do day. And we get Monday. This can be very useful if you're working with a table in which you want to organize the dates, not just in date format, but by months, dates, or years. Next, we have phone number. Now, I personally once experienced in an internship, I had to organize all the phone numbers into phone number format, and this is before I knew about the text function, so it took me a long time. And if we want to do this to show in phone number format, we do whatever your phone number format is, but in this situation, we'll do open parentheses, number, close parentheses, number, dash, number, quotation mark, close parentheses. And we can see that we now have it in the standard American phone number format. Like I said, this would have been very useful for me that day. Fortunately, I didn't know about it, and it ended up costing me several hours of time. Finally, we have the same problem. This time we want to put these numbers in the Social Security format. So if we go ahead, do equals text, select this value, hit number, dash, number, close quotation mark, close parentheses, and hit enter. We have our data now in Social Security number format. As I mentioned, this text formula has many different applications, whether you're trying to organize data into phone numbers or make a table organizing data by days, months, or year. And finally, formula number 10 is XLOOKUP, which in my opinion is the most powerful formula when it comes to finance and accounting. Now, the first part of this formula is the lookup value. This is just the value you're looking for in an array, and you ultimately want the corresponding value fed out. So in our situation here, our lookup value is our employee ID. Our lookup array is simply the array in which we're looking for that value. So employee ID, we're going to be looking for it in this entire array. And the return array is the corresponding value which we're looking for over here. Maybe you're looking for the employee name, employee position, or employee salary, but in our situation here, we're looking for employee salary. So we can go ahead and do equals X lookup, and we have our lookup value here, employee ID PV8302. Hit comma, and now let's select this entire array for which we're looking for that value. And finally, we have our return array, which is our salary. And we want to make sure these compose the same number of cells. Close parentheses, and what we're going to get here is whatever the value for PV8302 is, we're going to get the corresponding salary. Hit enter, and we have 145,161. Now, if we find PV8302, we have it here, 145,161. Now, if we instead change it to employee name, we would get Mandy, which is correct. So you can see just how powerful this formula is. It'll give you anything you're looking for. If you have data that goes on for 50 columns, you can find data that quickly in an instant, which is why this is one of my favorite formulas. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed it and learned a little something today. If you want access to this spreadsheet so you can practice on your own, please fill out the form in the description. You'll get it emailed to you for free so you can practice as much as you want and learn as much as you want. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you next time. Good luck.